Let's make a sourdough starter from scratch. It is way easier than you think, and you really only need flour, water, and a little bit of patience. Sourdough and making a sourdough starter can be as easy or as complicated as you make it. I know it can seem very intimidating, and I constantly get questions asking how to do it, what is it, and it really is as simple as you're mixing up flour and water. I do have a playlist from day 1 to day 14 on how to make a sourdough starter if you want to take a peek at that and see what's going to be coming up as the days go on. But really, you're just doing the same thing every single day. This series is going to be even easier, less complicated. I don't want you guys to be afraid of making one. Again, you're really just stirring around flour and water, and on some of the days you'll be taking half of it and throwing it away. In the very beginning, you don't want to save any. So I'm going to go into all those details, but let me just show you what you need. You're going to need a glass jar or a plastic container, whatever you have. Any container you have will work. You do not have to run out and buy something special for this. Just a glass jar, plastic container. I prefer a mason jar with the lid that you can screw on. What you definitely do not want to do, and I've said this in one of my last videos, don't use a paper towel with a rubber band as the lid. You definitely need something solid on top. If you have a measuring cup, you really don't need one, but if you have one, you can be more precise, but I always go by consistency. You want something to stir it with, and then you just need unbleached all-purpose flour and water. You're going to put equal amounts, for the most part, of flour and water. To begin, you don't want to do a huge amount when you're first creating your starter. So I just did a 1/4 cup of the unbleached all-purpose flour. And then generally I would say to do also a 1/4 cup of water. But I really think that when your sourdough starter is on the thicker side, it really helps it grow. Whenever I've made them a little too thin, it just doesn't have the same growth and activity as when I make it thicker. So I went ahead and I did just a little bit less than a 1/4 cup of the water, and then you're going to mix it up. You can definitely start with measurements so that you have an idea of the amount you're using, but then as you mix it up, if you notice it's too runny, add a little bit more flour. If it's too thick, add a little bit more water. You will have a million opinions on how to make a sourdough starter and how to maintain a sourdough starter. So I'm just saying what works for me. Another person might tell you need a scale to measure every single thing that you're doing and you need exact measurements. And that's fine, but I have had my sourdough starter for quite a while, and this is the way that I have always maintained it. So this is the consistency that you're going to be looking for, kind of like a thicker pancake batter. And after that, you are going to put the lid on, but you're not going to fully twist your lid where it's airtight. You're going to leave a little bit of room, so just halfway screw it on. You can see that I have a rubber band on the jar. That isn't necessary, but a lot of people like to put the rubber band where your starter is when you're feeding it, and then you'll be able to see once the sourdough starter doubles in size, you'll be able to get a good idea of how much it rose from when you fed it. So after this, you are going to, like I said, put that lid on, and then you're going to come back in 24 hours. And I'm just going to tell you now, in 24 hours, all you're going to do is you're going to open up the jar, look at it, give it a little sniff because you want to get familiar with all of the beautiful smells a sourdough starter has and what they mean. And then that's it. We're not going to be feeding tomorrow. We're not going to be discarding tomorrow. We're just going to be observing tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions.